Justine Hansen is taking minutes there. Yeah, we're on air. Tonight's agenda, we're going to consider a grant. Dan Malone, our town planner, should be in to just an update on Catholic Charities request for a grant there on their project up near the high school. And then we'll review the Department of Public Works' new policies and changes to that. We have requests for services, for social services. Some of our nonprofit charitable entities in town. We have minutes from March 8th to possibly approve. And then is Seth going to present anything about that piece of mower equipment? We have to, all right, we're going to add another item, approval of a expendable trust.
Yeah,
Right?
an increase to what was already approved.
Yeah, and then a quick discussion about the Legion wants to use the overall. And if any of you in the audience would like to ask any questions, just when called on, state your name for the record.
One at a time, please.
Yes. All right. Where's Danica?
Not sure.
Should we go over the Public Works thing first?
Yeah, we can go through the policy first. So this is an update to an existing Public Works drug and alcohol policy. This is it just impacts drivers who hold CDLs, who are required to hold CDLs for their job. No other Public Works employees. Our existing policy is very similar to this one, except much, much older. We're actually woefully out of date at this point. And so what we ended up doing is, rather than even updating our existing policy, we took a template and made changes to make it Peterborough specific. So that's what you got in the packet today was that template updated. But it's really just, it's required by the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration for all the drivers that carry commercial driver's licenses.
So yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, you.
Or you're the boss.
No, you.
Well, I was just wondering, this just covers CDL, how about a regular, do we have a townwide policy?
We do have a townwide policy.
I thought so.
It's not as specific as this.
Do we do drug testing and everything?
Oh, we have specific instances for drug testing, so any new hires are tested for drug and alcohol. Many of our volunteers are also tested, depending on what they're volunteering to do. We also have post-accident investigation policy that covers drug and alcohol testing.
And tonight's the drug testing for the select board. So, surprise, surprise.
I had a couple other questions. First of all, they do a random drug testing.
Yes.
How are people selected for that? Just pull out of a hat?
Pretty much. So there's an electronic version of the pull the name out of the hat.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how often is that carried out?
Quarterly.
Oh, just quarterly?
Yes.
So one person quarterly?
It's 2 for our pool size.
Okay.
2 names are drawn quarterly.
Seems reasonable. And it's done on site, so it isn't as if they have to travel to Concord or anything like that.
No, our new testing company comes right to the shop and does it there at the bathroom.
Okay.
Yeah, because if someone's on drugs or alcohol, you don't want them driving all the way to Concord.
Certainly not in town.
A whole lot of reasons to not do that. They'll also come post-accident, they'll come directly to the scene to do the testing there.
You mentioned that was a template, but I saw a lot of red edits.
Yep. That was the make it Peterborough specific edits.
Right, you changed the company to town and all
Yeah,
that.
all that
Okay.
stuff. Yeah. Added in some sections that were pertinent because some things are different for public employees than they are for public employers rather than private employers. So the town attorney went through it with a fine-tooth comb.
That was my next question.
Yeah.
So I'd like to. Okay, great. Do we have to vote on this?
Yeah, that's a vote to accept the revised policy.
We have a question.
I actually have a question for once. River Marmerstein, there's covered CDL drivers with the fire department as well. Does this apply to them too?
It does not. Firefighters are exempt from this legislation.
Good question.
Yep. And one that you would typically not know to ask unless you're in public service.
Yeah.
Yep.
So don't catch your house on fire after 5 o'clock.
I seem to get popped for the random every single time they do it, so.
Just-
We do have a separate policy that covers all of our EMTs and paramedics because they do have access to controlled substances, obviously. So we have our own separate policy, but it's not included in that.
Great. All right. Any other questions? I make a motion that we accept that the revisions to the Department of Public Works drug and alcohol policies.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, nicely done. Welcome, Danica.
Hi everyone, Danica Malone. Sorry I was running late. I'm here to request authorization to submit for the InvestNH Municipal per unit grant on behalf of Catholic Charities for the Phase II of their development. So I was before you guys probably a year ago now for the same grant application, but it covered for Phase I of that project, and that was the new construction at the rear of the property. They are now working towards completing Phase II, and the total amount of that grant that they're looking for is $240,000. The total amount that I would apply for would be given back over to Catholic Charities to make that project happen. I did want to share some updates about that project with you guys from Jeff Lefkovich. Phase II has been really difficult to get off the ground for them, and a lot of that is due to the federal administration changing where federal funds are coming from. We're just paring them down altogether. In a sense, Phase II almost did not get off the ground, and actually what I'm excited to announce to you guys is that the reason it is finally moving forward is that they have put together what is now called the partnership with Monadnock Community Hospital, whereas they've created the Monadnock Community Hospital and Catholic Charities Limited Partnership, which will share co-ownership of the Phase II development. Monadnock, this is the first of its kind in Peterborough. Monadnock Community Hospital is going to be a huge help to getting Phase II completed due to that lack in funding. However, this $240,000 will certainly be a significant assistance to them.
That they have funds for.
Can you remind us where the Invest New Hampshire monies come from?
The InvestNH funds are coming through a couple different bills from the federal level, but my understanding is all of those funds have already been deposited into InvestNH through the Business and Economic Affairs Bureau's accounts, so that they cannot be scraped back at this point, which is nice because the pot of funding that they have available is there until it dries up. So they're constantly encouraging communities that if you have more applications or have projects coming online, to hurry up and apply before it does go away. So they certainly have this funding available. We have all of the documentation from Jeff Lefkovich to submit. We're just looking for authorization to do so we can help their project move forward.
So I assume they need our blessings in order to get the grant, but the town is not on the hook for it at all.
No, so typically, like what we did last time was we submitted for a grant for $590,000 for Phase I. The full amount of that $590,000 was turned back over to Jeff Lefkovich for the benefit of that Phase I development. So that would be the same scenario that we are asking for here, is that the full $240,000 be given back to Jeff Lefkovich for the purposes of Phase II.
Do you know what the final price tag on Phase II is? Astronomical.
It is. Well, I might not have it in the documentation I have right here, but I'm certain I could get it to you.
Can you ballpark? 5 million, 10 million?
I want to say it's close to like 8 million. Yeah.
Seems there is a lot.
So overall, this is a significant number compared to the total, but it will certainly help them be able to move this project forward with the gap in funding that they do have.
Isn't Phase II like 64 units?
Phase I is 64 units.
Phase I.
Yeah, Phase I.
Yeah,
Phase
there's
I was
30.
64 units. 64 units, and 59 of those units are affordable, which is why we got 590,000. It's 10,000 per unit. Phase II is a total of 34 units, however, or I'm sorry, 32 units, but 24 of those units are going to have an affordability income level.
There are also some facilities there, community facilities in the building.
That's
Correct, which makes sense why the hospital will get involved, I would think.
Yep.
Great.
Yep.
All right, I'd make that motion to authorize the grant application for Invest New Hampshire Municipal for Catholic Charities Phase II.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thanks, Danica.
Thank you guys, I appreciate it.
When will we see the first person doing it?
So, ribbon cutting was actually planned for this October. There's been some delays in some of the electronic parts that they were ordering. They are now on schedule to start having the doors open for late October, early November, but Jeff Lefkovich had said he's not ready to formally announce any ribbon cutting just because the electronics timeline keeps getting pushed out a little bit. He's worried it might
It'll be
be
Christmas Day.
right on Christmas Day.
Or Easter.
There is a wait list for anyone watching. There is a wait list for those who might be interested in applying for those units. And my
good.
understanding is that it is filled up pretty quickly.
Oh, wow.
Yep. Yep.
And they're rental units? Right.
They are all rental units. Yep. My understanding is that they do allow pets, which is something I always look forward to. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, Jane.
All right. Okay, our yearly social security services request?
Yep. So we received 4 applications for social services funding. As a reminder, we have $31,500 in the budget dedicated to the support of social services agencies that provide a critical service to Peterborough residents that the town would otherwise need to cover through either providing the services itself or as a municipal welfare function. So each year, the agencies are required to complete an application and submit it to demonstrate their eligibility for the funds. We received applications from Home Healthcare Hospice and Community Services for $12,000, St. Joseph's Community Services, which provides Meals on Wheels, for $3,700, Conval and 68 Hours of Hunger, $1,250, and Reality Check for $3,500.
And what is that total?
And so that totals $20,450. 3 of the agencies, HCS, Meals on Wheels, and Conval and 68 Hours of Hunger, meet the requirements for the social services applicator program. Reality Check does not, as Reality Check is providing either highly specific needs or really their preventative program. So their focus is really on education, dissemination of information about drug and alcohol assistance programs, that sort of thing. They do referrals, but they do not do direct treatment themselves, provide emergency crisis support or anything along those lines. That service in this area is largely provided by the Nanoc Family Services.
We denied the request last year, I believe.
Correct. And they're asking again this year.
So your recommendation is to fund the others?
Correct. My recommendation is to fund HCS, Meals on Wheels, and 68 Hours of Hunger.
And those 3 would total,
I don't have the exact total here, I'm sorry.
it was 20-something minus 35.
3,500, yeah.
So 16 or 17,000.
About that, yeah.
And we have 31,000?
We have 31,500 in the account.
I'd like to I read through the applications, and I'd like to comment that they're all well done. They seem to be very well run organizations, dedicated to philanthropy, and I think they're charitable. And I also think that they're not requesting as much as they probably should, because as we were reading in the newspaper just today, food benefits and whatever are being cut way back. So, I noticed that 68 Hours serves 71 clients in Peterborough. But we're only contributing about, I think they said 8% of the budget. And several other communities are contributing considerably more than that. Some of them are contributing 0, so can't say too much. But I would highly recommend that we raise that amount that we're going to serve from the 8% or whatever to at least 15%, which would be a total of around $5,000 instead of the requested, how much?
2150.
2150, yeah.
Sorry, 1250.
$1,250, yeah, $1,250.
Can you do that if they didn't apply for it?
We've never done that before. I think, you know, it may make sense to, if you want to consider having them, or opening the application process for next year's funds early, maybe you want to consider that, as opposed to waiting until the spring, wait until, or just open it a little bit early this year, this coming fall. That would be one option. They haven't, these were all just received, so it's sure that they are aware of what their funding situation is going to be when they submitted them. They've all gone up. Every one of these has gone up, so.
Oh, yeah, they've gone up,
Yeah.
and some of them significantly, but
Yeah.
I still feel that we have the allocated funds. Why aren't we using them?
And I'm glad that Bill brought that up,
Sure.
because that's what I was getting at, asking,
Yeah.
what's the difference between, if we have $31,000, we're only being getting requests for 16 or 17,000.
Mhm.
Sure, then, if it's in there, then it would go back to the general, or the unanticipated, or,
It goes,
Fund
that
balance.
goes to the fund balance, yeah,
Right.
it goes to the unreserved fund balance.
That's
And then
it.
that can be
Stays.
used to cover other expenses the town has, or reduce the taxes in the fall. I will say that, you know, given all the uncertainty and likely cuts to benefits that many folks will receive, I fully expect that demand on the welfare budget is going to be much higher next year. And we may not have these funds to give out depending on what the expenditures look like up this time next year.
and there's no way that they could revise their application.
I can put it back out again if you'd like to accept applications for revised applications.
Could they apply again?
Well, then everybody will do it. If they're asking again, then we raise our ask too.
And that's a good point, but, you know.
Well, we have the
hungry kids.
discretion, right, to set how much we're going to give.
Yes,
And our limit is what our budget says.
correct.
So we can, if they come back and say, well, yeah, instead of $1,000, give us $20,000, we can say, well, no.
But you do draw from that throughout the year for other
So this-
needs?
In the past, the select board has considered this a safety. We have overspent the general assistance budget in the past,
Mhm.
yep, and when we've done that, we've dipped into this.
Oh, okay, so we have some buffer money. Well, we still have a fair amount of buffer money left over in that account, even if we increase, I mean, for instance, Meals on Wheels just does $100 per client. That seems inadequate to, I mean, I realize it's a volunteer-run organization. And
Yeah.
their offices are right here in town, you know. This is where they store their food and so on and so forth. They requested $3,700 this year, because we have 37 clients, essentially, in the Peterborough area.
Well, that math works. So, you making a motion, or what's going on?
Well, I'd like to move that we increase 68 hours from $1,250 to $5,000. And fund Meals on Wheels and, what's the other one,
Home health care, hospice, and community services.
yeah, I thought that was reasonable, what they were requesting from us. That was,
So your motion is that we raise from about 6,800 and whatever that is, 68 hours of convert, and keep the other two as applied for?
yeah, I think so.
You think so?
I'm not sure.
I'll second that.
Excellent. All those in favor?
Right.
Aye. Thanks, Bill. Bill?
All right, yeah, I think they deserve it. They're, you know, they serve the community through the high school and through, Senate.
Well, hold on. Our motion was for all of those that applied. So does that motion have to be amended to
All
take
approved.
reality check off?
It's up to you. Want to fund reality checks application request, or do you want to?
Your recommendation made sense. I'd stick with the 3
Yeah, that tends to be a tradition.
as amended. Thanks, good point. Then we have the boom mower.
Oh,
Needs more
You want to do
money.
that now?
Right.
Okay. So we do need to request additional funding for purchasing the boom mower. As you saw from Seth's memo, last fall, we had approached the board and asked for the authorization to purchase a boom mower attachment at the cost, thought at that time, of $36,927.60. Got the authorization. Seth went back to the vendor to make the purchase, and he said, "Oh no, that quote, we're not carrying that quote anymore, that quote price anymore." So Seth said, "Okay, well, I guess we can't make the purchase," and figured that we'd go back and reshop the attachment in the spring. Here we are in the spring. Of course, costs have gone up.
they don't make that one anymore.
What's that?
They don't make that one anymore.
I don't know, but what they spec'd out is the one that's meant for the piece of equipment that we actually own, as opposed to being a third-party vendor. And will cost us an additional $8,990.40, which we of course have in the Fleet Management Capital Reserve Fund. The expectation is that we will use this and, maintain it and carry it along for many years as we did with the prior piece.
25 years.
Yeah, it was a long time. We had the old one.
Presumably, they got a quote at some point. When did they get the original quote?
The original quote was
When they ordered the
July.
tractor.
I think it was, forget what Seth said.
The original quote, it was supposed to be, we were hoping to get it at the same time as the tractor, and then they didn't have it.
Right, that's what it was.
Oh.
Wait, so we get penalized because they didn't have it with the tractor?
Well, now that company that we had spec'd it out and got quoted on doesn't make that same mower. Yeah.
All right, so we're up over a barrel here.
More or less.
I make a motion that we expend those funds for that.
Second.
Additional $8,990.40.
That's exactly what I said.
Yep.
Putting words into his mouth.
It was, well, into the minutes now. And that was seconded?
Bill seconded.
Excellent, all those in favor?
You like that?
Yeah.
It's like vote for Bill.
Feed with Bill.
All right.
By the way, if you ever need running again, I still have this one.
You'd be happy to sell them to me.
Your middle name, Bill?
No,
Oh,
Darn it.
you have to see if Bonnie's middle name is Bill.
What a waste.
And then approve minutes from March 18th. Anybody read them?
Yes.
Yeah,
I'll make
great.
that motion.
I'll second. All those in favor?
Aye.
I even signed them already. That's how confident I was.
Me too.
And then, so we have a nonprofit?
Yes,
Lease
so
agreement.
one quick piece of other business. So the American Legion's been meeting in the community center on Sundays, on one Sunday a month for many years now, ever since the town acquired the community center. They've been doing that at no cost to them. They come in, they move some chairs around, sit down, have their meeting, and then leave. Of course, the community center's under renovation right now. They need somewhere to meet. They asked if they can use the upper hall of the townhouse for their meetings as available, and was hoping that the selectmen would grant it to them at no cost.
Do they need that much space?
They don't, they just need a space. And the upper hall is really the only other meeting space we have available. Apparently, the recreation office is already booked at that time on Sundays, so it's not available to them.
Are you offering your house?
And since we have
They can't
southern,
get up that bumpy road.
That road.
and since we have Southern New Hampshire Services moving into the Arts and Crafts building, that space is not available either.
Well, we won't have to heat and air condition that space, do we?
The upper hall
Yeah.
for 2 hours on a Sunday, no, we won't have to do that. We
And
just have
this
to-
is just while the community center's getting ready.
Right.
Correct, yeah.
Yeah.
Then they'll be back for
Through the
Rich
summer.
openings.
Okay.
And it goes without saying that they'll be heavily involved with the commemoration of the semi-centennial, did I say that right?
Yes,
You did great.
In 2026,
I would
Right.
think so. I should think
So-
so, yeah.
that'll be part of the agreement,
Okay.
right? That's there. All right, yeah, I'd make a motion to let them do that. Do we need a motion or just a?
No, just general approval is
Yeah,
fine.
I think that's
Sure,
fine.
yeah.
I'm good.
What time do they meet?
They meet from 2 to 4 on, looks like the first Sunday of each month.
That's
I
not the
believe
morning.
so, yeah.
I thought you said the morning.
Yeah.
It's 2 to 4 a.m.
I thought it was morning too, and now I'm
You like to be on
reading it
European
time out
time.
loud.
Yeah, and it'll be mandatory that all sitting selectmen named Bill have to attend this meeting. Starting next month.
Get on European time.
Excellent. That's it?
Yep. Except for we have to go and do a non-public.
We have to go into a
I
non-public.
totally forgot that on the agenda.
Yep,
Yeah,
Put
so,
one on.
all right.
Oh, there it is.
Now, I would like to close our public session and make a motion that we enter non-public session due to RSA 91-A:3, Roman numeral 2, parentheses D, and that would be the consideration of the acquisition, sale, or lease of real or personal property.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. All right. Thanks.
Zero.
Take care.
See ya.
All right.